So, problem 5, we have already discussed the problem. Now, before we come to the format, we need to prepare the schedules. So, I have just made small tables for the schedules. I will go for the schedules, well, when I am preparing the schedules, I will go in order of the schedules, starting with schedule 1. Because we have already gone through the problem and we know we have already marked what goes in schedule 1. If there is no item with the relevant, if there is no schedule with the relevant item, you don't need to prepare the schedule. Okay, so if there is no item for a particular schedule, no need to prepare the schedule. So these schedules which I am preparing are only if the item is there. So the first one is schedule 1 which is uh, capital. Schedule 1 is capital. It's not called share capital, it's just called capital. So they've already told us what is the share capital. They've said it is normally in our format, if you check out the format, they've given it, I told you there is for nationalized banks, for non-nationalized banks and for other banks. We are normally following that part of other banks. And if you see the format for other banks, you have authorized capital, issued capital, subscribed capital, paid up capital. Okay, so we are going to make an attempt to show it in that way. So we are going to write it as authorized capital. Now in the problem there is no authorized capital given to us. Okay, so there is no authorized, so I am going to put a nil. Next we have only issued capital. We only know that issued, subscribed, called up and paid up capital. So that's how I am going to write it. Issued, subscribed, called up and paid up capital. And they have directly given this to us, how much it is. They've said it is 29 lakhs 70,000 shares. These are shares, that's why I'm not removing the zeros here. 29 lakhs 70,000 shares. Be careful of the zeros. 29 lakhs 70,000 shares. These are shares. This is not in rupees. Okay. 29 lakhs 70,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each, fully paid. Okay. Directly what you have to do is just take that amount, and the amount is 297. The amount is 297. Nothing else has to be done. Okay. So just take this, take it the way it is given to you. Please don't remove these zeros because these are the number of shares. This is not rupees. This is number of shares. 29 lakh 70,000 shares. Okay. So you get 297 the way it is given to you. Next we move to schedule 2, which is reserves and surplus. Okay. Now here we have two items. One is statutory reserve and one is balance in profit and loss account. Fine. Now there will be a small calculation that is there here. Now when we are showing statutory reserves, if you remember the format, statutory reserve, okay, we show it as opening balance, then we show as any additions during the year, and less deductions. Okay, we don't have any deductions, so we don't have to show any. If you want, you can just write deductions or any transfers. Now, what is the opening balance given to us? The statutory reserve, the opening balance that is given to us is 346.50. Please don't round up these figures, they are not to be rounded up. They are not decimal points. It's just because the figures are in lakhs. Okay, 346.50. Additions. Now, what are additions? Additions are basically the transfer that is made to the statutory reserve during the year. Additions are basically the transfer made to the statutory reserve during the year. And we know that every year, whether it's mentioned or not, how much has to be transferred to the statutory reserve? 20%. Okay, 20% of what? 20% of the net profit. 20% of what? 20% of the net profit. Now, what is 20% of the net profit? First, we need to know what is the net profit. That's why in the problem, they've given it to you as, look at this question, they've given their net profit for the year before appropriation. What is the meaning of before appropriation? Before any appropriations are made. Like transfer to statutory reserve, proposed dividend, transfer to any other revenue reserve. Before that, the net profit is 225. So when we are taking, this is what we have done in the profit and loss account also. When we are taking the calculation, we have to do 225 into 20%. 225 into 20%. Now 225 into 20%, you can just do that and see, you will get it as 45. You get it as 45. 45. Okay. How did I get this 225? This is the profit for the year. They've given it to us. Net profit for the year before appropriations. Okay. And when we are transferring this to statutory reserve, it's always 20% of the current year's profit, not the total profit, not last year's profit and current year's profit. Okay, so that's how, and there are no deductions. They have not said anything is withdrawn from statutory reserve, so there are no deductions. So our total of statutory reserve is, the total here we need to write outside, 346.50 plus 45 gives me 391, 391.50. 391.50. Okay, so that's the first item that we have in the under reserves and surplus in schedule 2. The second one that we have is the balance in profit and loss account. Balance in profit and loss account. Now for this we need to do a small working note, because if you see the format, they've not shown any working notes for balance in profit and loss account. They just write a straight figure. So that's why we can't do this additions and all here. It would be better not to do it. Okay, so I'm going to do a small working note below the schedules. Working note, balance in profit and loss account. Okay. Now, balance in profit and loss account, how are we going to do? We have the net profit for the current year. We have the net profit for the year. We have the net profit for the year, which is given to us as 225. Then we also have the profit and loss account opening balance, that's net profit of the previous year. Profit and loss account opening balance. That's, you can say, profit brought forward, net profit brought forward. How much is that? That to us is given as 618. 618. Okay, that to us is given as 618. Now I want to know from you, can the total of this be shown as balance in profit and loss account? We are trying to find out this balance in profit and loss account. Can the total of these two figures, 225 plus 618, can it be shown as balance in profit and loss account, or should there be another adjustment to it to get the correct balance in profit and loss account? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? Should this total be shown in the profit and loss account, or should there be some kind of adjustment to it? No reply? We want to know the final balance in the profit and loss account. This is the net profit for the year, okay, 225. Then we have the opening balance. This is the last year's profit brought forward. So, can we take the total and just show it as balance in profit and loss account, or there should be some other adjustment to it? I've just done something right now, just to give you a hint. What do we have to do? What do we have to do? There's not much response from you all. Why? What do we have to do here? Can anyone tell me? Basically, this balance in profit and loss account, which I'm trying to show here, this balance in the profit and loss account is the answer that we get in when we do the problems of profit and loss account. What is that answer? Balance carried over to the balance sheet. That is the one. But in this problem, we have to calculate it because it's not given it to us directly. They've given net profit separate. They've given profit and loss account opening balance separate. Then they've told us to make a transfer to the statutory reserve. Okay, so that's why we are doing a working note to calculate it. Otherwise, this comes directly from your profit and loss account as the answer of the profit and loss account. Okay, so what we have to do here is, we can't just add this directly because from this amount we have also made a transfer to the statutory reserve. We have also made a transfer to the statutory reserve. And how much is that transfer to the statutory reserve? We have made a transfer of 45. So the final figure after minusing that 45 will be the balance that you can show as your balance in profit and loss account. And that is going to be 225 plus 618. 225 plus 618. That minus 45 gives me a total of 798. 798. Okay, so the balance in my profit and loss account is going to be 798. Is that clear? So what I've done, I've taken whatever figures they've given me, the profit for the year, previous year's profit, and I've minused the transfer that we have made. Because they have given the profit before appropriation. Okay, so this 45 is minus there. Okay, so we don't need to do anything else. We just need to get the total here. Complete the schedule. You just get the total here. The total of this schedule is total is 118 1189.5 1189.5. So this is the total. So this is how schedule 2 is done. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to schedule 3 now. Schedule 3 becomes deposits. Okay, so here we have, just write it the way it's given, fixed deposit accounts. How much is the fixed deposit accounts? It is 775.50. 775.50. Then we also have saving deposit accounts, which is 675. We have another one, current accounts. These current accounts can also be those demand deposits. In the format it's mentioned as demand deposits. Okay, because you can just go and withdraw at on demand. Current accounts 780.18. So again we need to get a total here. The total of this is uh, 2230.68. 2230.68. Okay. So this is how your third schedule is done. Schedule 4, we have an item in schedule 4 which is borrowings. Now we just have one item there. We just have one item there. Schedule 4 is borrowings. We just have one item which is borrowings from other banks. The amount is 165. What you can do is, as you take the items, you can just tick it. Okay, if you have a hard copy with you, you can just tick the item so that you know that it's already taken. So there's just one item here. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to have a total. 165. Now, Schedule 5 is basically other liabilities and provisions. Schedule 5 is other liabilities and provisions. So we have that also here. Schedule 5, we have one item there as well. Other liabilities and provisions. We just have one item which is bills payable. The amount is 0.15. Again, just one item, so you don't need to total it. Okay. Next, we go to Schedule 6. Schedule 6. Now, what is Schedule 6? You can check your format. It's cash and balances with RBI. Cash and balances with, please write the full form, with Reserve Bank of India. I think we have two amounts here. One is, now you have to look at your assets side, assets part, cash in hand which is 240.23, and you also have cash with RBI which is 67.82. So we can total this also. The total of this will be the total of Schedule 6 is 308.05. 308.05. So that's Schedule 6. Next we have Schedule 7. Schedule 7 is balances with banks and money at call and short notice. You need to remember these names. Okay, the names of the schedules. I think again we have two items here. One is Cash with other banks, which is cash with other banks is 132.81, and also money at call and short notice. Copy this. Which is money at call and short notice is 315.18. Okay, so we need to get a total here as well. The total of this of schedule 7 is 447.99. 447.99. Next is schedule 8, which is investments. Schedule 8 is investments. I think we have two items here. One is gold. Gold is 82.84, and you have government securities, which is 365.25. The total of this is 448.09. 448.09. So we are done with 8 schedules. Next one is schedule 9, which is advances. So we have here, we start with the first thing that is there, cash credits. Cash credits are 1218.15. Then we also said that we transfer current accounts, which is basically the overdrafts. Current accounts, which is the amount is 42, and then we have term loans. Term loans, the amount is 1189.32. 1189.32. So the total again here is 2449.47. 2449.47. I hope those who are solving with me, please use your calculator and check. Okay. There are any questions? Nobody seems to ask anything. If you have anything, please stop me in between and ask. Next, schedule 10. Schedule 10 is fixed assets. Schedule 10, fixed assets. Now we have two things here. We just need to be a little careful. We have premises and we have furniture. Okay. Now I told you premises and furniture, both the amounts are given as net. That means it's given after depreciation. So if it's given after depreciation, this is what we are given. Okay. This is what we are given. So if I just write here premises, okay, premises. Basically, we know the at cost, we know the opening balance, and we know they've given us the depreciation. 1 minute, I'll just write it down. Depreciation given to us is okay. Now, depreciation given to us one. Just pay attention here. This is how the depreciation is given to us. What is given to us is a depreciation, and they've also given premises net. That means they've given us this outer figure that is after the depreciation. Okay, so they've given us a figure 133.45. Correct? Sorry, 133.55. That means the figure after depreciation. Now they will be asking me why we need to show it. We already know the figure after depreciation. Why we need to show? Because somebody who is going to the balance sheet needs to know what was the value of the of the premises at the beginning of the year. Okay, so this is just to give extra information. Now the question here is that this amount is given as 1,10,000. Okay, and all our figures are in lakhs. All our figures are in lakhs. So basically 5 zeros have been removed. So if we want to remove 5 zeros from here, we have only 4 zeros. We have only 4 zeros here. So what I'm going to do, I'll have to cancel the zeros. I have to strike through these zeros. Okay, still another one. So what I do, it becomes 1.1. It becomes 1.1. So this basically is 1.1. So this way. Okay, I hope you've understood this. It's 5 zeros. We just have 4. If there were 5 zeros, I would have removed this, and it would have become 11. That time it would have become 11. But now since it's a decimal point, another 0, so it becomes a decimal point. It becomes 1.5. So how are you going to get this? How are you going to get this? The original cost, it will be 133.55 plus 1.1. Okay, here we minus. To get this back, we'll have to add this because you have minus the depreciation. So to get this back, we have to add the depreciation to this. So that will be 134.65. That is basically my figure that I have found out. Okay, so this is how this is done. Similarly for furniture as well. Similarly, the same thing we do for furniture. We know the outer figure. What is the outer figure of furniture? 95.18. We know the outer figure. So depreciation also is told to us. The depreciation is 78,000. The depreciation is 78,000. Can anyone tell me what will be the figure here? What will be the depreciation here? Quick. Can anyone tell me what will be the figure here of depreciation? You have to. It's 5 zeros. So what will be the figure here? Move 5 zeros.
Point
Yeah,
point 78.
very good, very good. It's going to be 0.78. It's going to be 0.78. It's going to be 0.78. So how we are going to get this? 95.18 plus 0.78. The amount is 95.96. So technically we are not doing anything with this amount that we have found, but just to display it or to present it that way. So when you're going through the problem, you will wonder from where I've got these. These are the balancing figures. Okay. So we need to get a total of this now. The total here is 228.73. 228.7. Fine. So schedule 10 is done. Next we have schedule 11. Okay. Now I think if you look through, we have put in all the items. If you were ticking or something, we have put in all the items. So basically, we have nothing going in Schedule 11, which is other assets. There is nothing in the problem that we have marked for Schedule 11, which is other assets. So you don't need to do Schedule 11. You can directly go to Schedule 12. So that's what I said. If there is no item, no need to show the schedule. Contingent liabilities. Contingent liabilities. Okay. These are all in the two second and third adjustment. You need to take that. The first item is acceptances, acceptance and endorsements, which is again 14. Normally when they give the figures in the adjustment, they give it as full figures. So it's 14, 12,000, 14 lakhs, 12,000. How will this be? It will basically be, if you move 5 places, 3 zeros and 2 more places, it will be 14.1. And next one is claims against the bank not acknowledged as debts. Again, the amount is 55,000. Okay, but I'm going to take this as 0.5. Get a total here. So the total of this is 14.67. 14.67. Okay. So that's it. We are done with all the schedules. For the last one, bills of collection, there is no schedule. We directly show it in the statement. You don't have to do a separate working note. Okay. So now what we have to do is just post these items with their totals in the balance sheet and see if our balance sheet is tallied. So the first thing that we start with is name the bank. The bank is called Lakshmi Bank. Lakshmi Bank as on 31st March 2015. 31st March 2015. The first thing that we have is capital and liabilities. Okay. Under that, first item is capital. You can write down the items and then go and put in the figures. Then we have reserves, because here you have to write whether it's there or not, you have to write it in the format. If it's not there, you show it as nil. Reserves and surplus. Then we have deposits, borrowings, other liabilities and provisions. Give the numbers here, schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will have a total. Okay, you can write the format and then you can transfer the figures. So the first thing under assets we have is cash and balances with Reserve Bank of India. Then we have balances with banks, that's other banks, and money at call and short notice. Then you have your investments. Then you have your advances, fixed assets, other assets. Now, even though we have not done a schedule for other assets, I'm still showing it here because here you have to show it and show it as nil. Okay, and then below that we have contingent liabilities, contingent liabilities and bills for collection. Okay, so just give the schedule number. So this goes as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the 12th one. Bills for collection doesn't have anything. Okay, and then you don't have to total this. So now we just have to transfer our figures. So schedule 1 is 297. Schedule 2 is 118.89.50, 1189.50. Schedule 3 is 2230, I think, 0.68, 2230.68. Schedule 4 is 165. I think we had just one item there. Yes, 165. And schedule 5 is 0.15. 0.15. We'll transfer and then we can check the totals. Schedule 6 is 308.05. 308.05. Schedule 7 is 447.99. 447.99. Schedule 8 is 448.09. 448.09. Advances schedule 9 is 2449.47. 2449.47. Then you have schedule 10, which is 228.73. Other assets we don't have, but I said we still have to write it, so put it as nil or put it as a dash. I think nil is better. Now you can total this. The total of both sides is 382.33. You can check. Anyone who's solving with me can check. Okay. Contingent liabilities don't form part of the total, just has to be mentioned. 14.67. 14.67. And you have bills for collection is 1810. Okay, so 18 lakhs 10,000. So here we have 5 zeros. So here it will be 18.1. 18.1. Sorry, I put an extra. Yeah, correct. 18.1. We don't have 5 zeros, just 4 zeros. That's why it's 18.1. Okay, so this is how the problem looks. So if you see, I think you should realize by now what you need to know well is the format. If you don't know the format well, then you get lost.